All right, we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started because we have so much material to go over, aside from the fact that I chew pens. So welcome. My name's Jen Lyles. I'm the Executive Director at Beauty Schools Marketing Group. We help beauty schools find leads. That's what we do. And this is our last webinar of 2022. And I'm excited about this one because all year we've been doing very beauty school specific webinars. So we've been talking about admissions and about marketing. And if you're a BSD member, get in touch with me later and I can send you a link to the entire library of all of our webinars. But today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. And personally, I love LinkedIn. It happens to be probably my second favorite social media app, next to TikTok, Jeff.
Of course.
But I do love LinkedIn for business purposes. And I want to introduce someone who just lives down the street from me that I've been friends with for like 10 years. And she is a LinkedIn expert. She's amazing. Her name is Jess Gardner, one of my best friends in the world. Jess, tell us about yourself and that amazing company you work for.
Sure. So my name is Jess Gardner and I work for Ramsey Solutions. There's this guy named Dave Ramsey. Maybe you've heard of him. He has a little radio show. I am a recruitment marketer there. So that means I do marketing for our HR department. So telling people about how awesome it is to work at Ramsey Solutions, which means I run the company LinkedIn account, the Ramsey Solutions LinkedIn company page. So I spend a majority of my time hanging out on LinkedIn and a little bit of time on Instagram and Facebook. But the main part of my time is on LinkedIn. It's a lot of fun.
And you guys have 1,000 employees or close to it?
Just over 1,000.
Yeah. So you guys are a really big company and you do a lot of your recruitment already through LinkedIn. But what I want to mention to everyone on here is not only are we going to be talking about branding yourself personally, but we are going to be talking about recruitment because the top issues schools today are facing is getting employees. And I think that, if they could utilize LinkedIn for that, I think that's a great opportunity for them. So we're going to be talking about that. Jess, also, you've done LinkedIn trainings at your own company. So
yes.
Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So as with most companies, we have a huge marketing team, developer team, and creatives. So I've gone on a road show around the company and gone to each department and explained the value of posting on LinkedIn. And when I started in this role, about 5% of our company was posting on LinkedIn. And now I just saw the number for November, we're up to about 18% of the company is posting on LinkedIn, which is a huge jump from where we started. And that's a lot of intentional effort has gone into that. Of course, I see that number and I think, ooh, we can do better than that. We can get it up to 20 or 25%.
No, Jess, in such a short time, that is a huge number and a huge accomplishment. Do you have one or two, just you did a training and then someone went viral by using the tips? Anything you can share about that?
Yes. I have a good friend of mine. He's actually no longer at Ramsey, partially because of what I'm about to tell you. I sat down with him when he began his recruiter role on our HR team and gave him a few pointers about here are some best practices for posting. And within 1 week, he made his first post where he really focused on his hook, his opening line. And you guys, within a week, it had over 5 million impressions. And impressions in marketing language means people with eyeballs saw his post. So that's 5 million people. Wow. And because of that, the Wall Street Journal contacted him and interviewed him. The LinkedIn News picked it up, and eventually he wanted to start his own coaching business. And he ended up leaving Ramsey probably about 4 or 5 months ago. And he has already replaced his income by going solo in his own coaching business because of the leads he's getting from LinkedIn. So
this is incredible. Yeah. That itself is a great story. We're going to be talking today about a lot of tips as far as when to post, what to post. But before we get into the individual part, I want to start by talking about a company, because on Instagram, on Facebook, even on TikTok, you can have company pages as opposed to just an individual page. And I know you can do that on LinkedIn as well. What are some major differences? Like, tell us a little bit about how maybe like a company page would run on LinkedIn.
Sure. So obviously I'm going to speak to the Ramsey page because that's where I have the most background. For instance, on the Ramsey page, when I'm making those posts, I'm speaking from the Ramsey brand voice. And the brand voice is way different than my personal posting voice. So there are pillars brand guidelines that I stick to when I'm creating content for the company page. But one thing I've started to do a lot more of is incorporating all the different products that our company offers, in addition to why it's so great to work there, to give our followers a more holistic view of the total Ramsey Solutions package, if that makes sense.
So if you're a school or a vendor and you're on this webinar and you do have a company page, Jess, you're saying that we need a balanced post. It can't just be like product.
Yes.
Or just, testimonials from people and employees. There's got to be a really good balance of everything.
100%. If you're just like, look how great it is to work here, from my perspective, look how great it is to work here, that's just going to fall on deaf ears eventually. But yeah, give a bigger view, show all the different aspects of who you are as a beauty school. You'll be, reaching out, you will appeal to different people by posting all that different type of content.
Great. And then what about engagement? Do you engage with employees, other brands? What do you do as that brand page when it comes to commenting and stuff like that?
So I'm in the comments every day without fail. I spend at least 30 minutes. Sometimes it's up to 2 hours if there's a post that has gone off really well and there's a lot of interaction and comments on the post. But I am intentional about interacting with every single comment on posts, but also looking for all the employee posts that have come through that day and interacting with those. And also just random people will tag Ramsey Solutions in the comments of different posts all over LinkedIn. And so I make sure to engage with those to get more visibility for our brand.
Okay, so some of the schools on here are not a Ramsey 1,000 people, working there type of business. So if you're a beauty school, maybe, I don't know, you have 100 students or something like that, you probably don't have a ton of employees. Is a good strategy maybe just to check out like the hashtags of beauty education and see who's posting on that? What are some ways small businesses can replicate success that a big business is doing?
Great question. So researching the hashtags is a really easy way to find your people on LinkedIn. So the way you do that logistically is just type in the search bar with hashtag and then, like you said, what beauty schools, and see how many people are already following that hashtag to see the relevance of it. And then all the posts below will populate showing you who's talking about that. And you can go jump in the comments of all of those posts.
Love that. Let's talk a little bit about voice. So I became a huge fan like 10 years ago of Wendy's on Twitter, which to me had like the best Twitter account. Like they would constantly troll McDonald's and Burger King and In-N-Out. And it was just so funny. And I feel like that was kind of the shift about not being overly serious as a company. So what is your take? LinkedIn is a little more professional compared to like a Twitter, but how do you feel about showing a little personality as a company posting?
Great question. So
we also didn't really plan these questions. So Jess really is like, this is the first time I'm hearing this.
They're great though, you know your stuff. So with Ramsey, we have 3 words to describe our brand globally. That's warm, real, and bold. And we know that, especially on any social media platform, people are there for the human connection. That's very key when it comes to posting as a brand. yes, I am posting from a brand voice, but I am making the connection human. I'm connecting with other humans. So it is very key to add humor, to be a warm, real, bold human on the
Yeah.
platform. And I've gotten that feedback since I came into this role. I'll have random people like visiting in the lobby that I'll talk with, like the lobby in our physical building. And they'll say, "Oh, you run the Ramsey account on LinkedIn. Ugh, I knew I was talking to a human being, but that's so cool to get to
Yeah.
meet you in person." I've had feedback like that, that people can tell, oh, it's a human being I'm talking to. And they
Yeah.
love that.
And it's funny, you had even mentioned that like you post different than Ramsey, but I know you, Jess, I've known you forever. You do have a style where like I can tell it's you because
Okay.
when you write, you're a big like capitalize certain words throughout. Like that is
Oh,
all
yeah.
you. And like you love a hand clap emoji.
I'm a
I
millennial, okay?
Yes, yes. You know, I am pro emojis too. But I do see like the personality behind the Ramsey brand in the LinkedIn post. So I think that's great. Let's shift before we really get into like recruitment with LinkedIn. I kind of want to talk about personality and like the employees who work there. So let's talk about that to start. If you're a school wanting, or a vendor wanting to hire people, how can employees use their personal LinkedIn for that?
So good. Okay. So I had gone through a lot of research about this very topic. Harvard has done research on this. And what it boils down to is there is only so much that a company brand page can say about how great it is to work at their company. Of course, they're going to say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
What people go to LinkedIn for, they want to find the real employees, the real team members to see what they are saying. They want to know the real story about what it was like to work there, or what it is like to work there. So the employees have way more weight with what they say than what the actual brand is going to say.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's a lot of strategy that can be involved with your team members, your employees talking about what it's like to work there.
So, I mean, not to harp on the boomers, but a lot of them get very threatened when you have employees that are almost being like thought leaders for an industry. I want to hear your take, and especially working for a very progressive company, how do you feel about employees being thought leaders and adding to the conversation and being experts instead of, it directly coming from the boss, the CEO, or the company page?
Well, let's think about that. What is the worst that happens? So say a team member, becomes a thought leader, say they're in tech and they become a thought leader in the world of developers, whatever. They bring so much brand awareness to your company by showing up as a real, authentic human being on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, maybe once in a while they post about, oh my goodness, I love working at Ramsey. It's so great. Then the next day they're posting about, hey, I learned how to solve this problem using this type of code, and here's why, blah, 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 blah. And they elevate themselves, but overall, they are elevating the awareness about the brand.
Yeah.
And sure, I know boomers, whoever is concerned about the fact that they're going to lose these team members.
That's what they are concerned about, right? They're like,
right.
Oh my gosh, they're out here pitching themselves and how smart they are. They're going to find another job.
But the reason why someone would jump ship is if they feel like their employer doesn't have their back, right? That would go into it. But if that is being applauded, like, of course, we want you to be a thought leader. Of course, we want to celebrate your growth and your success and your personal development. That is something to be applauded, because long term, if you're applauding your team member for growing, that's going to create loyalty with the company you're with. And so what if they do end up leaving? They still brought way more awareness to your brand as a whole.
Jess, I agree with you. And I think it takes a really innovative and smart leader to be humble in that area and just realize that everyone has a personal brand on top of a company brand. And if they want to utilize that platform for it, great. But it is good, I think, overall from a company. There's a lot of research now that shows that people buy from like the people behind the brand, right? The actual people.
Yeah.
They'll even say like, I do business with this person as opposed to like, I do business with this company.
That's exactly what Taylor said in the chat.
Oh.
People do business with people.
Yes, absolutely. And so I really feel like leaders, presidents, directors of schools need to empower their staff to go ahead and use their own voice to build up their personal brand.
100%. That is the future.
Yes.
The future is here.
That's the future of marketing. Yeah.
Yes.
The future of marketing is the people. It's not the company. And I think more people need to see that. I will just side note, because a lot of people here, of course, are in my industry. My company personally, they love that. They encourage that. I was just at my work retreat a couple weeks ago, and that was one of the topics of conversation is we need to be utilizing LinkedIn more just to be talking about our company, but also ourselves and make sure we're connecting with the right people in our industry. I personally, Jess, you've known me for a long time. I would say the past 2 years, I've really used LinkedIn to help grow my brand and grow the company's brand. That's the thing is like, you get the leaders in the company and the other employees posting about it. It's going to be a win-win for everyone.
100%. Yeah.
And so do you guys have like incentives? Does your leadership pay people?
We did have a program for that for a little while with specifically our technology team. They were being incentivized to post on LinkedIn. And at first, I will say that I got some pushback on, well, the qualifying posts have to be posts about Ramsey. Like that just makes sense. And I pushed back. I was like, no, because if they're just all the time talking about Ramsey is so awesome, Ramsey is so awesome, no one's going to listen to them. If they show up as a real,
seem authentic. Yeah.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be. I'm like, let them post and be themselves. And every once in a while, if they want to throw in a post about a unique experience they have at Ramsey, that's great. Overall, they're still going to raise awareness about Ramsey because people are going to say, who is this person posting about how much they love to water ski on the weekends? I don't know. And they see, oh, this person's a developer at Ramsey. Oh, wow. And they want to learn more. It happens naturally and organically. So for a while, the developers were being incentivized by how many impressions they got per post. Okay. Yeah, and that program worked really well. Some budget changes happened because we are, the budgeting company. And so that's not a top priority right now, but I think it'll come back next year.
And y'all chose that group of people because you were looking to recruit employees in that area, in that department. Got you. Got you. Makes sense. So the best way to go viral on TikTok is to niche down. It's the number one thing I tell people. You need to choose a niche. Is it the same with LinkedIn?
I think it depends on what your goal is on the platform.
Okay.
So there's a girl I follow and her name is Eva Rose Daniel. She also used to be a team member at Ramsey. She actually wrote the speeches for Dave. She is a very talented speechwriter. She started posting on LinkedIn in February of this year and she had 700 followers. Now she has over 7,000 followers because she chose in February to just start showing up every day, posting valuable content on the platform about writing speeches, giving speeches, anything and everything to do with nailing your public speaking. She left Ramsey, I think it was 2 months ago, because she was able to go full time with her speech coaching business. For her, the goal was to be very niche. And I say niche, I don't say niche or whatever the other way is. Okay.
I'm in America, so I figure it's just niche. Okay.
Okay. Well, I like French, so I'm going to say niche. Okay. So anyway, for her, it worked great to
Mhm.
niche down, right?
Yeah.
But I know for like me personally, I am niche with my point of view. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this. It's not necessarily that I talk about one specific discipline or topic all the time.
Sure.
I am talking about my life experience from my unique point of view,
Mhm.
and people have come to expect that from me. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm planning to write a book and I guess kind of be an influencer in a very specific space. So
But
that's the reason.
a space that is a pretty big demographic. It's not niche
Yes.
down to like just just higher education or
Right.
just financial. It
There's
is,
a strategy to it.
it's very broad. So that
Yeah.
makes sense why you would
Right.
have a big following, of course, in that area, which was one of my questions. One of my questions was, is it better to have a huge following in like multiple industries or a smaller following with your buying audience? And I can tell you, like, for me, it's the second.
Uh-huh.
I'm in the beauty school space, maybe a little like dabbled into just vocational education in general. And I think if that is your audience, it doesn't make sense for me to create posts to try to go viral with like 1 million people viewing it. Now I'm getting a whole bunch of followers. And so that when most of my posts talk about higher education marketing, these people, like, it's not relevant to them, which means they're not going to be engaging with my posts, which is going to have the reverse effect on
Exactly.
my LinkedIn engagement, right?
Yes. So it like you're saying, it all boils down to what is your goal? What is
Yeah.
your goal on the platform?
Yeah.
And build your audience according to that goal.
I think that makes
Oh,
sense.
and little sidebar, just because somebody sends you a connection request does not mean you have to accept that connection request. If you want to be very specific and strategic about who you are connected with on LinkedIn, that's a whole like other rabbit hole we could go down. But especially like you're saying, like if you want to be very specific about the audience you're talking to, do
Right.
not accept just anybody to be a connection. Let them follow you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's interesting that you say that, because that's kind of how my LinkedIn is set up. I've noticed that it's not just like a quick ad for me. You can follow me and then you can go to my profile and do something else where you almost like second button something to find where you can request. Is that because I have creator mode on?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about creator mode. What is creator mode? Why should people have it?
Okay, great question. So creator mode, what it does is it allows you to show people more quickly what you're all about. So if you click on someone's profile, like if you click on my profile, right underneath my headline, you'll see that I have 5 hashtags dedicated to my brand. And I talk about marriage, parenting, relationships, connection. Those are 4 of my hashtags. So what it's doing is if people click on my profile and they see in creator mode, oh, this is what she talks about, they can immediately be like, well, she's not for me. Or they can decide, oh, yeah, I want to follow her because I want to hear more about that. So it gives people an easy way to opt in or opt out of who you are about.
Okay.
And it's a much easier way than having to send a connection request on LinkedIn, because that is a whole other song and dance. I try to only connect with people that I've either met in person or I know through another person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
So
1 degree of separation.
who would you suggest use the creator mode versus not use a creator mode?
If you are wanting to become a thought leader, if you are wanting to recruit more people to come work at your school, I would recommend the creator mode. There's a
Okay.
lot of opportunity for you on the platform for those 2 goals specifically.
And then if you are someone that just like wants to grow your audience and find people that you want to do business with, and just like see what those people are up to, you're probably better just to keep it as is.
Yeah.
Okay,
100%.
great. So we're going to shift now and literally talk about actual tips for LinkedIn, how their algorithm is built, best times to post, all that stuff. Let's just go to the comments because Justin has a question in there. He wants the best strategies for sculpting your network, your audience, and growing your connections.
Great question, Justin. So, for my experience, what I recommend when I'm giving this training at work too, is to just start posting content and your people will come, especially if you know what you're going to talk about. The first step is to figure out what you're about, what your brand is about, what do you want to be known for on the platform, and play. I always say pick 5 pillars of content. And then whenever you're making a post, you just play in one of those 5 pillars. And very quickly, people will begin to understand, oh, this is Justin, and he posts about these 3 topics all the time. I want to know more about him and what he's about. So that is the best way to just bring people to you. And it's something else we'll talk about in a minute, I think, or we'll just do it now, is commenting strategically.
Okay.
So going back to the hashtag thing that we mentioned earlier, find a couple of hashtags that are relevant to the things you want to be known for or the people you want to connect with on the platform. For instance, hashtag beauty schools, right? And go comment on those posts that you find under that hashtag. Okay. Start to get some visibility of your name in that industry. That's what I would recommend.
I think that if you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
I mean, that is so much better than having to hunt for the right people. And that's really, I can speak to that as that has personally worked for me. And another thing, what I love about LinkedIn is the mutual connections. Because when I see someone has like 87 mutual connections with me and they're all school owners, I'm like, this is someone I need to be connected with. And so all the people that are like second tier related to you, and if they're your industry, add them, just send a request. This isn't like, you're not a celebrity. You don't have to wait for people to request your friendship. Like you can go and add people.
And I will say too, like adding a thoughtful note that you can tell is not some pre-scripted, hey, I would love to connect with you, blah, 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 blah. Like really put a little thought into it. That actually goes a long way when people I know are reaching out to me for a connection request. If they put a little thought into something, or they mention, hey, I saw when you posted about this topic that really resonated with me, would love to connect, you know,
just put this, and that reminded me, I didn't put this in our notes ahead of time, but like something that super gives me the ick is, do you remember when I had that poll that went viral on TikTok about like people adding you and going straight to your messages and pitching you a product? Let's just talk for a second about how that is just awful.
It is the worst. There is no quicker way for people to brand you as salesy and ick than to do that. It's awful. Don't do it. Do not be one of those people. Don't do it.
If you are in sales, don't do it.
Be real. Be a real, authentic human being first, and those conversations will naturally happen. Build the relationship first.
Yes. Be organic, and honestly, like earn the right to get in someone's inbox. Earn it.
Yes, that needs to be a tweet. I need you to put that in all your social posts, please.
Yes, love it. Okay, let's talk about LinkedIn. When are the best days to post?
Okay, so I actually just saw some research on this. And right now, the best days to post are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Who would have known?
Saturday?
Yeah. Saturday is blowing up right now on LinkedIn. There's actually a whole group called Social Saturday. You can find that hashtag there. If you want to jump in on the LinkedIn game and kind of add a little gasoline, jump in on the Social Saturday conversation. There's a whole following that's jumping in on that every Saturday. And what they're doing is they're tagging a bunch of people and bringing them in to the conversation and getting you more visibility, especially if you're just starting out. But yeah, Saturday has blown up. And Saturday is typically when people are sharing like what they're doing on the weekend with their family.
So it's more personal.
It's more personal posts. Yeah. That's really expected now on LinkedIn, especially on the weekends, which is very interesting.
Yeah, good to know. Are there times a day, Jess, that are better to post?
I have seen most of the time in the morning, the early morning, between 6 and 8 a.m. is when you are for sure going to get lots of comments and engagement on your posts. But I'm also seeing, especially if you are posting really good content,
Mhm.
and if you add a visual aid of some sort, like a graph or a photo, it really doesn't matter what time you post. If you are
Okay.
adding really good content consistently and showing up in the comments, your post is going to do great. Doesn't matter the time of day.
You know what I read in one of, you had sent me a slide deck, like the algorithm with LinkedIn. So we were both kind of researching some stuff earlier. I saw something where I'm like, oh God, I made that mistake. I literally made it today. I made it
Uh-oh.
mistake.
What?
Publishing a new post within 18 hours from a previous post will negatively impact the growth of both posts. Oops.
I think, okay. I think they're trying to do away with like automation,
Okay.
as much as they can, because they know people are trying to beat the system or whatever. So I get that. But if you are adding really great value and you're posting it within that 18-hour window, it doesn't really matter. There's a guy on LinkedIn named Justin Welsh. He's like the godfather of LinkedIn. He's a must follow if you want to really learn the game of LinkedIn. He posts whenever he wants, and he has amazing engagement. So I feel like yes and no. Like, add
Okay.
value, show up consistently,
Yeah.
engage with your comments, and you'll do fine.
Can we talk a little bit about consistency? Does that really play into algorithm? You're not someone who ever posts, and all of a sudden you make a post for the first time in 3 months, and then you go dark and you don't make another post for 2 months. Like, does LinkedIn just not like that? Because TikTok doesn't. I can tell you, you get rewarded on TikTok for posting regularly. How does it work on LinkedIn?
Great question. So I've actually seen this play out both ways. I would say I've seen more people win when they are showing up consistently. So pick a posting pattern that you can stick with. If it's once a week, let it be once a week. Every Monday you post something. But if you really want to win and go all in on this strategy, post at least 5 days a week, Monday through Friday is what I would recommend. And
Okay.
posting about the same time is really the best option for you, because then your people will start knowing when they can interact with you and expect content from you, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Let's talk about content since you brought it up. Photos, video, breaking everything up into paragraphs as opposed to one giant paragraph. I want you to give us, Jess, a little spiel on the best type of content and how to get more eyeballs on it.
Sure. Okay, so this is the simplest tip I can give you. And if you've spent any time on LinkedIn, you will notice this. When someone is posting, especially like if it's just a text post, any post, the first line of text is going to be the most important. If you've ever been involved in marketing of any type, you know that the hook, the opening line of text, is your most important. It's the same with a LinkedIn post. You don't want to be clickbaity. That's not what we're here for. But you want to make sure you spend a little extra time on that opening line of text. That's what's really going to draw people into your story or whatever it is you're trying to tell people in your post. So spend a little extra time there. But then also make sure you are spacing out the lines of your text. Do not do one big giant paragraph. No one stops to read that. They don't have time for that.
Yeah.
They need you to break it up into easily digestible lines of text. And I will throw in, keep it on a 4th grade reading level. Okay. Especially if you are a developer and you're wanting to talk to other developers, do your whole code thing, do your own language. But for us regular people in the world who don't speak that way, keep it like cookies on the bottom shelf is a phrase that we use at work. So keep it easily digestible, easily readable, and you will get way more interaction with your post if it's easy to read.
Jess, I've also noticed that you don't use punctuation sometimes after your hook. I notice these things because
yes, you do. I tested that out. So I found that in your opening line of text, especially the first 3 lines, don't use punctuation at the end of the line. I don't know why that works, but it
Yeah.
does. And I keep doing it. I also have found that if you put like a specific time or date in the opening line, like yesterday at 8:37 a.m., blah, 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 for whatever reason, people love that. They love a timestamp and they love a date.
It just
I don't know
feels
why.
authentic and like, I don't know, that very specific. So that's super interesting.
Yeah.
What about photos?
Oh my goodness. If you do anything, post a photo. People are visual, and it does not have to be a picture of your face. That's one thing that people at work always like come at me with. They're like, "But I don't want to post a picture of me." I'm like, "You don't have to." Right? On a post-it note on your desk, the main thing that you want people to get from your post, or something controversial, but yes, add the photo.
Add the photo, and then selfies deliver 3 times
Mhm.
more engagement. If you're gonna have a photo of your
Yep.
face, people like a selfie. Who knew?
Oh,
What is
yeah.
it, Facebook? Like, wow,
I
LinkedIn.
know. Sorry.
Very interesting. Okay,
Mm.
let's talk about, we did talk about hashtags. You use no more than how many hashtags? What's the max?
Huh. 3 to 5
Okay,
max.
good to know.
Mhm.
And then let's talk about different types of posts. Okay, this is something I really want to talk about because I see that LinkedIn posts can be all about personal stories. We can talk about employer branding. We can do thought leadership. There's a lot of different, what is that balance? Do you trade it off every day? Do you do personal stories every Monday? Like, what are your thoughts on balancing the different bits? Because this is something I personally struggle with because I feel like I do them all, but I don't have like a calendar or reason for why I do it.
Okay. So, I apologize. I'm having a
I'm
coughing fit.
sorry that we're getting you when did
Ooh,
something, was it water?
mm,
My bad. I feel bad.
we'll be
I feel really
we'll
bad
be
right now.
okay. I have a cough drop. I think we'll be okay. All right. So, rule that we live by with the social team that I'm on at work is for every ask post. So, like any post that I'm doing that's showing, hey, come work for us, or hey, buy this thing. For every ask post, you have 3 give posts
Hmm.
because the give posts are what build the trust and credibility so
Yeah.
that you can have the ask post and people will
And
actually engage with it.
give could still be like giving insight into your personal life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. hmm So the give posts are like, here's a peek behind the curtain of what it's really like my work day at home, or here's a book I'm reading and I learned this. It's giving, adding value to the people that are following you.
And then how do you feel about like your last line and calls to action?
So it's a great idea to get people into your comments. If you can get a comment within the first hour of posting, you're good. And it does not need to be, hopefully it's somebody that's not who doesn't work at your company. So whenever Jen comments on my post within that first hour of posting, that is like gold because she's not at my company. That is part of the algorithm. It boosts the visibility of my post.
Oh, okay.
So make sure, it's great if you can find a posting buddy who will pop into your comments. That's a little tip. And
So
you
a
can
good CTA is simply like, tell me about your favorite vacation spot or just whatever
Yes.
to try to get people to comment.
Yeah, don't do like, what do you think? Like put a
So
little
general.
thought.
Yeah, put
Yeah.
a little thought.
Put a little thought into the question or the CTA that you have for your last line of text. Yeah.
Okay, love that.
Mhm.
I've seen some LinkedIn trolls, haters, that are like, isn't this more suited for Facebook? Why are you posting this on LinkedIn? First of all, go away.
Mhm.
LinkedIn to me has just completely evolved and it's doing well
Yeah.
because people do want to do business with real people. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts on that? Like, I would say there's not, I mean, maybe politics and religion, you kind of, that can be
Oh,
in
yeah.
in certain industries, maybe keep that off. Like no one, like don't be posting who you're voting for, but I love when people give me insights into their life. Like I love seeing,
Yeah.
y'all, Jess has 4 sons. 4. And I love seeing the photos of your boys and like, one of them, at their concert playing an instrument. Like these are things that people want to see. Am I wrong? Am I right?
Those posts always do really well. What
They
can
do
I
well.
say? And you
Yeah.
know who the trolls are? The people who aren't posting
Yes,
every single
always.
time. So I don't even care if someone wants to drop a comment like that. I'm like, "Great. Why don't you start making content and then you can join the conversation."
Yeah.
I just like I don't even have time for that. So don't worry about the trolls calling it Facebook. The platform has evolved and they don't want to evolve with it. So,
Exactly. I also saw a tip, Jess, which you can do now with LinkedIn. You can edit posts. So if you've like
yes.
posted it and you've made a spelling mistake and you're like, oh crap, you can go back in and edit it. But
But
algorithm,
don't.
it's not good to do, right?
Yeah, wait at least an hour before you edit it.
Okay.
I've done that before where you hit send or publish, whatever, and you're like, oh crap, I
Right.
misspelled pancake. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't go change it. There's one guy, he used to be super active on the platform and he got all the hires for his business just by posting organically on LinkedIn. His name is Casey Graham. He owns a company called Gravy. Um, but he was notorious for posting and having like 3 or 4 spelling or grammar errors. He just leave them.
Yeah.
And I think what it did is it actually built trust with his audience because you knew he typed that. You knew that was him. It wasn't someone doing it for him. It
Yeah.
wasn't him being all polished and perfect. He was just putting out value every day.
And by the
So,
way, y'all, I mean, we can tell if it literally says at the top corner, edited
yep.
10 minutes ago.
Mhm.
So I mean, I have many times posted something and I saw an error and I just delete it really quick. And then like I'll repost it. That's okay, right? I can do that.
I wouldn't do that either.
What?
Yeah. The
Good to
algorithm
know.
spanks you for that. We don't do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. This is
Uh-huh.
this has been enlightening for me. Okay, so let's say we're afraid to, start making content. I think a really good place to start for like the average person is just commenting and liking
Oh,
things
yeah.
and starting to engage before you build a post. What's your thoughts on that?
100%. That is what, especially when I'm talking to like developers at work, that's what they get hung up on. They're like, but I don't know what to say. I'm like, you don't have to know what to say. Just start scrolling. And first, notice what content you're stopping and reading.
Hmm.
What is a scroll stopper for you? Find out, be curious about it. Why am I stopping to read and engage with this? And the ones that you are curious about, those are the ones you start commenting on. Start building some relationships and showing up regularly in the comments. And then once you get more confidence about people engaging with you, you're more likely to start creating your own content and you know
Yeah.
what you want to say.
Yeah, I think that's great. So, I mean, really, my biggest takeaway, Jess, from this conversation is you need to have a goal. Like, what do you want to do with your business account versus your personal? And just be, sharing thought-provoking content that isn't always asking people for things.
Yes. This is something that I wanted to make sure to say. Your profile is gold. The
Mm.
most common activity that happens on LinkedIn is people clicking on your profile. People are curious, they want to know more about you. So you use your content that you're putting out to be your top of funnel, meaning that's where you're getting people engaged and curious about who you are. And then when they naturally click on your profile, you use your header, you use your hashtags, you use your unique link that you get when you're in creator mode, and you use all that about me section to be your sales funnel. You will naturally point them to do what you want them to do if you set your profile up as a sales funnel.
Okay. And so then the last thing I'm going to ask you, and guys, go to the chat and start typing in questions, is the headline for yourself, Jess. So a lot of people just put their job title. I'm not sure that's the best thing. That's not what I do. Mine says beauty school marketing is my jam, and then TikTok strategy.
TikTok. Yeah.
Because that is really what I talk a lot about. That's what I'm passionate about. Curious what you think about like headlines that are not your job title.
So what I like to coach people on is talk about the problem that you solve. So spend a couple of minutes thinking about, how would I explain this to a fourth grader, what I do? What is the actual problem that I am solving with this role I have? That is going to speak volumes more about you than just saying owner of beauty school,
CEO, ABC.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, cool. Which you can still have that, y'all, in your work history. Like Jess said, people are going to go to your profile. They're going to see, your job title and what you do. But I do like, a headline that is kind of describing what you do. Except, can I just tell you, Jess, like what I noticed on LinkedIn that I'm kind of sick of? Everyone is helping, blah, 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 blah. Helping people, blah, blah, blah. Helping people do this. Helping people
pick
get out.
a different verb.
Yes, it's all this helping. Exactly. Helping schools get leads. Yeah, just enough with the helping. Okay.
Tell us what you're doing.
Happen. It is over. Yes, exactly. So I want to thank you for your time, but we've left like 10 minutes. If people have additional questions, not only should you be following Jess Gardner on LinkedIn, you should be commenting on her stuff so she can have outside companies commenting on her content. You do, Jess, you give really great content, but I mean, she's an expert. If you guys have questions, please feel free to type them in, and she'd love to answer you.
Yeah, I would love to.
And it's a little slow. Come on, guys. I know you got something in the meantime. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say something about your headline on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That is also very valuable real estate, because think about it. Every time you are commenting, your headline shows up right above your comment. So people are getting a taste of what you're all about every time you're commenting. So think of it as your own little ad space every time you're making a comment. So what you're writing in your headline really does matter. And it's not something that you have to be like super scared about being locked into. You can go in and change it tomorrow, start playing with it, testing out ideas, and you'll eventually get where you want to be.
That is such a good point. Yeah, because every time you comment on something, it's literally just going to say like CEO of this school. Like it's just, it's doing nothing for you. That's a really good point. Okay, we have a question. If you jump over to the chat, this was amazing. A newbie question. Should I be creating a business account as a creator as well as my personal account?
That's a great question. Is it, I'm guessing Tanya or Tanya? So I guess it comes back to the goal that you have. Are you wanting to get more visibility for the business that you are growing? Or do you want to just start out with building up your personal brand and pointing to your business? Which do you think you could do? Which do you think you could manage better right now? My guess is if you don't have anybody that could help you manage a business account, I would just go all in on managing your personal account, and every once in a while, like making a post about the business and tagging the business, if that makes sense.
Jess, I would say for our audience in higher ed, specifically beauty schools, I don't see there to be much of a purpose to have a fan page or a company page. The demographic is like 18 to 24-year-old kids who are going to be going to our school. The main thing in schools is you are recruiting people to come, attend your school. LinkedIn's not going to be the place for that. So it would probably be better to really hone in on your own personal account, and you could still recruit staff and talk about your school, talk about your personal life. Unless you really are like this big brand multi-campus school, or you're a vendor, that's trying to reach a huge demographic, it makes sense. But I don't think it's necessary for everyone. I can tell you at our company, it's not a focus. We are more focused on individuals than like a bigger brand.
Because it goes back to the original point. People are going to buy from people. way sooner than they are a brand. Yeah, especially with this industry. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Betsy, I am so new to this. I found Jen, but it says I don't have access. How would I see her on LinkedIn? Do I have to follow? I'm creator mode, so you do have to follow me, but I know there's a way still, maybe I should go not creator mode, where you can add me.
I mean, you can, with the whole connection thing, I think you have to be connected like by a second degree of separation, you know, a second degree connection. If it's a third degree, I don't think you can just add someone to connect with them. But yeah,
you can follow.
You can follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit a follow. And a lot of times if I see a new follower is in my industry, like we have a bunch of mutual friends, I end up sending the connection request. I never mind sending.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's interesting. I'm super famous, but like, I still am like, you know what? I'm going to throw these people a bone. I'm going to request their friendship. Sure. Okay. Yes, my connect option is usually in more on their profile page. Right. Love it. Does anyone have any other questions for Jess? Or are we feeling really prepared and ready to change our LinkedIn? I can tell you it's like one of the top reasons why I wanted to do this webinar is because not enough people in the beauty school space are on LinkedIn, y'all. Sometimes it's an island.
Yes. And that's something too, like globally on LinkedIn, there's like millions of users, but right now only 4% are showing up and creating content, which means there's a lot of opportunity for all of you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I love that Taylor's on here. I see her very regularly post, and I love that. Rhonda, you are getting your posts in at events all the time. I love that. I just want to see more about people's personal lives. If I can see more about that, I think that would connect us all and we would do more business, and, you know, we could just grow the beauty school sector together, you know, the more we post. So I love this. Anyone else have questions?
Mike, he said, do you post in groups a lot or just within your feed? Personally, I have not dabbled in the LinkedIn groups at all, really. I just post straight to my feed. Yeah, and play around in other people's posts that they're using.
Which again is your goal, right, Jess? Like you have a goal to, you know, pivot your career and, you know, expand it and do more things. So that makes sense for that. Love that.
But if that's a place where people are hanging out in the beauty school industry, if they're hanging out in the groups, I mean, that would make sense to go jump in those groups. So
we should start one.
Ooh, that sounds like a good idea.
It'll be me and 4 other people. So
perfect. You got to start somewhere.
You got to start. This was really fun. You gave such great tips. I knew you'd be a great guest speaker for this, Jess. You are a natural, and everyone go follow Jess Gardner on LinkedIn. She's great.
Thanks for having me. I had so much fun hanging out with you guys.
It just flew right by.
It did. It
felt like we were hanging out at Crumble Cookie.
It really did. Oh, Crumble. Oh.
Y'all, our town just got a Crumble. Yeah. So it's been a rough month over here.
Thanks, Leah.
Leah's on. That's cool. Yes, Tanya, Crumble Cookie is like where we live. We love us a Crumble Cookie, right? We check the app every Monday to see what's going to be new this week.
I might follow them on TikTok, and they post really good stuff.
They do. And I follow, his name's Sawyer, the CEO.
Oh yeah. On LinkedIn.
Yeah. He's great. And the reason, y'all, I bring up Crumble is because be looking out for your emails. We are going to be having a little Crumble fun at Beauty Schools Marketing Group between now and the end of January. If you book a sales call with us, we're going to send your school some Crumble cookies. So I'm going to go ahead and get in the comments and at least put my email and phone number if you'd like to set up a call with me. And we'll be emailing, you know, everyone to let them know about that. But Justin, we already know my favorite Crumble cookie flavor. He asked in the comment. It's key lime pie all day long. Because the cookie itself is like a graham cracker. It's like the greatest. And I haven't seen it in like a year. I'm sure it'll come back in the summer, but that's my favorite one. Jess, before we go, what is your favorite Crumble cookie flavor?
Oh, I'd have to say they've done a peanut butter cup one before, and I'm a
Yeah.
sucker for peanut butter cup. So good.
So good. So
Okay.
good. Well, this
Yeah.
has been fun. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you next month for our next webinar.